And if you woke up today breathing, your journey's not done. And you can make a huge difference and impact. Hello, welcome to Meant to Thrive. I'm Marissa Johnson, your certified life and business coach, dedicated to helping you find happiness after heartache. I am proof that it is possible. And today I'm going to be sharing my story on what the heck happened to me and how I was able to turn that mess into a message. Here's the funny thing when something very traumatic happens to you in your life. You have two choices. The first choice could be you just kind of settle. You almost, in a way, accept defeat. Or you say, yeah, this is just my life now. This is the way I guess my life is gonna play out. And this is just it. I'm gonna have to live with this type of sadness and heartache for the rest of my life because that's just what it is. On the other hand, you could be saying, I am bigger than this. I am stronger than this. And I know that I'm meant for more. So although this is sad, this season of life will not last forever. And I'm going to make the best of it, and I'm gonna turn my life around. Sometimes people choose the first option, especially when they're in the thick of it, when they're really in that situation and everything's kind of falling apart around them. They will very well probably choose option number one, and I did. I admit it. But as life gets a little bit better, they might start to realize, hey, actually, I'm ready to pick myself back up again. And I think that I can actually know. I know that I can, and I will. And so then you slowly start to transition to that option number two. And then other people don't transition at all, and they choose one of the options and they stick with that option. So I'm very excited to share with you my story today. Basically, what happened was, on August 6th, 2021, my life completely flipped upside down. I was pregnant with my son, and I went into labor on August 5th, and I gave birth in the morning on August 6th. My whole pregnancy, completely healthy, or so I thought, and when I gave birth, I was expecting to go home in just a few hours because I chose to do a birth center, and they literally let you leave like 5 hours after giving birth, which is kind of crazy because I was in a crap ton of pain, but that's beside the point. So we were about to go home. I had given birth. I did a water birth. It was not very fun, but I'm proud of myself and I did it. And I had given birth and we were just kind of resting, and before we go home, they come in and do all these checks. They come in and check my son, and they discover that he has low oxygen levels. He's kind of having a hard time breathing, and then they start to panic and they call the ambulance to come take us to a hospital to go into further testing. Now, I was kind of just angry in this moment because I didn't believe anything was wrong. I know my son was perfectly healthy and that I just wanted to go home and rest because I had just given birth. But no, I were transferred via ambulance to the other hospital, and they went into some checking. Now, my husband and I, and this is during COVID time, by the way, my husband and I were there, and they were not very accommodating for us. They kept mentioning how, there's only supposed to be one parent in here at a time, but we're just making an exception for you because you just gave birth, and all of this kind of negative stuff. And we're just like, okay, well, whatever. And they eventually told us to just go home because regardless, they were gonna keep my son for a few days, even if they found out nothing was wrong. And that really, really annoyed me. And I was pretty angry, but I was also in pain, and I know I needed to rest. And I was like, okay, this is ridiculous, but whatever. We did go home because they weren't allowed to tell us what they were discovering at the time because it was just the one that was doing the scan. They're not allowed to tell us. They have to let the doctor tell us. So we end up going home, and we do get home. No joke, as soon as we get home, we get a call from the doctor. Now, this was 30 minutes from where we were. And the doctor calls and he says something that broke my heart. and I instantly started crying, and I didn't know what the heck had just happened to my life. He told me that my son had some pretty severe heart defects and that he was going to need surgeries, but overall, the complexity of his heart was too much for that hospital. And so then they said that they were going to send him to Phoenix Children's Hospital. Now, this is, luckily, right down the road from where we currently live. Where he was getting checked out was 30 minutes away. So I didn't know this at the time. It was a hidden blessing because we had chosen this location before I even knew I was pregnant. I was pregnant when we moved. I didn't know it, but yeah, we're right down the road. Little did I know that that was going to become my life for the next 204 days. Pure agony. My heart had completely broken. I was in complete shock and disbelief because there's no way that that was happening to my son. I lived a really true and honest life, tried my best to, go to church and be there and pray and be one with God and do everything right. I was totally a goody two-shoes. And I didn't believe that this was really happening to me because why would this happen to me? I live a really good life and I don't deserve this, right? Obviously, these were the thoughts going in my head before. So we get the phone call. We tell them to just send him over because we were already here. And later that night, the same night that I had given birth at 5:30 in the morning. And we finally get to the children's hospital where I can see him, and he's all hooked up to these wires, and nobody can give me any answers, and it's really frustrating. But ultimately, we do get some answers a few days later. I don't actually remember. It's all kind of a blur, but maybe it was a week or two after that he got his first surgery because they had set out a plan. And all this time, I go through the normal emotions when you're grieving. You go through the anger, right? And just complete shock. And then you go into that denial, like, no way, this isn't real. And you go through bargaining with God, and you're saying, hey, if you can, take this pain away from me, I will dedicate my life to serving you and doing all these things, which I did, and I am. And then, we go through all this whole process, and then finally we get to acceptance, and we accept what happens. And that is when you make that choice, right? I accepted at the time that this was just my life, and I guess this is how it has to be. And my son is going to live a life of struggles and surgeries and appointments and pokes and prods and all this pain that I can't control. And it really broke me. In that moment, I accepted. But we had a very long hospital stay. Multiple surgeries, multiple what ifs. At times I thought, he's not gonna make it. And other times I was like, he's totally gonna make it. And then of course, oh yeah, you're going home with him. Never mind, it's time for another surgery. All of these things throughout 204 days. And we did finally get to bring him home. And ever since, he has been happy, healthy, safe, and well. And we say those affirmations every day in the mirror to remind ourselves that he is safe, healthy, and well today. So, now that you got the whole backstory, I wanted to tell you after I had accepted option number 1, when I started to accept and take on option number 2. And that was about the time that we did go home. When we finally got home, don't get me wrong, I was overjoyed and I was ecstatic to have him there. But it was very overwhelming, and I definitely had a lot of worry, anxiety, and fear. And I had all this bottling up inside of me because when we brought him home, I almost had to feel like every moment was going to be our last. And this was something that was kind of often told to us in the hospital, which I would recommend if you are a nurse, doctor, anybody in the medical field, to not set your patients' parents up like this, because it can give a lot of anxiety to them, and that's not fun. But I was often told, like, hey, you know, we don't know what's gonna happen, and they do have to tell us that, because there's no 100% like he's gonna have a long, healthy life, because we just don't know. And so I was living with this fear that every happy moment that I had with my son was gonna be the last one, which is a horrible, horrible way to live. I knew in that moment that life was not supposed to be like this. Life is supposed to be full of happiness. And yes, hard times are supposed to happen, but they're supposed to make us stronger. They're supposed to help us to find our truth. And in that moment that I was home and, you know, going through the motions, I realized that I wasn't fulfilling what I know my life is meant to be. And that's when I decided to seek out help for myself. I am so grateful that the Lord placed a certain someone in my path, because I was searching for answers. I was searching for happiness. I was determined to figure it out, because I knew I'm not supposed to live in fear. And I'm not supposed to live with anger bottled up inside. I'm not supposed to live with all this sadness. God wouldn't want me to be sad. My son's safe, healthy, and well at home. Why couldn't I find happiness? And so, as I was on my search and I was praying for help, somebody appeared in my life, my mentor. And at the time, I didn't even know what she did. I met her at church and I was like, hi. I was instantly attracted to her. I was like, I want to be your friend. I want to be your friend. I don't know why, I just want to be your friend. And we followed each other on social media, and not even a week later, she was posting about a retreat, and that she was a mindset coach, and that she helps women overcome their trauma and build their businesses. And I was searching for ways to find happiness and make meaning out of the situation I had been given. I created Mikey's Mission, which is still a thing. It's more of a passion project where I'm helping spread awareness for congenital heart disease and helping, you know, give back to the Heart Center for research, all these things, and spreading positive messages to the world. And I was doing that, but I wanted it to grow, and I wanted it to become bigger and better, and I wanted to get over my feelings. And that's when I said, heck yes, I'm going on this retreat, let's go. This decision changed my life for the better, because what I thought I was signing up for was actually not even the bulk of it. It wasn't even the reason that I'm so excited to now share with you today. When I got there, she helped me overcome all those emotions that I had bottled up inside and shoved in a box and put away to deal with for another day. This is how emotions work, right? We go through these grieving, traumatic situations, and we have the emotion presented to us, and we do not feel like dealing with it. Why would we? We're going through the thick of it, right? So we have the emotion, we don't want to deal, and we shove it away. And we say, yeah, maybe for another day. But when is another day? When are you finally gonna realize that it's time to deal? It's been months, it's been years even, it's been decades. However long it's been, I wanna give you hope that there is a way to deal with them. Because what I experienced on that retreat was exactly what I needed. And even at the time going through it, I did not realize that it was something that I wanted to do. I had prayers and I had visions in my prayer where I'm talking with Christ and I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna just have this situation that you handed me be the end of me. I want to use my voice and I want to help other people. Please lead me, please guide me, tell me what I can do. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do exactly what my mentor does. I want to help women overcome what they think is the end or they think they have to settle with. That's what I want to do. And so I certified under her to be a life coach, and that's how Meant to Thrive was created. It all kind of fell into place. It's like I knew that I wanted to spread positivity in the world, and I wanted to raise awareness for my son's congenital heart disease, and I wanted to give back. I want to do all these things. And I realized that by certifying and becoming a coach as well, I can still do that. I can spread awareness. I can spread positivity and help people realize that there is happiness and it is achievable and you can find it. So I want to ask you, what do you feel like your divine purpose is? What do you feel like you were put on this earth to do? I personally, even as a child, knew that what I was meant to do on this earth is to spread positivity, is to make people smile and to make people happy. As a child, I was always telling jokes and acting and trying to be funny, and I loved just seeing people smile. And I was good at it, and I still am, I think. But I knew, even as a kid, I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do on this earth. So I want you to ask yourself, like, what do you think your thing is? What is your purpose? Because I feel and believe that we all have one. And it's important. Like, you are here for a reason. Whatever you are going through right now, whether you're in the thick of it or you were, or it's long gone, or it hasn't happened yet, whether you're listening to this, you are on this earth and you are living, breathing right now for something so much bigger than you could even imagine. Like, just think about this. God created you. You are a child of God, made in His image. And if you woke up today breathing, your journey's not done. And you can make a huge difference and impact in the world. Like, you can. And whether you feel like you can or you can't, I want to tell you that you can. Because even if it's on a scale where you're just passing people on the street and you have that positive outlook and you know your purpose, you're making a difference in people's lives. And if you're a mother listening to this, just like me, and you're having, to watch your child suffer in pain, or your spouse suffer, or anybody, even you, if you're suffering in some way, shape, or form, you are so special. And you are a fighter. Like, you are so strong. This was one of those things that people were constantly telling me when I was going through that mess. And I was inpatient for so long, and I was worried constantly, fearing what would happen to my son. People always come up to me, oh my goodness, Marissa, you are so strong. And at the time, it really, really bugged me because I was like, yeah, I have no choice. If you're having that type of mentality, I want you to exit out right there, because you do have a choice. You could be that one saying, yeah, this is just, I have no choice, and everything happens to me. I want to tell you something. Life doesn't happen to you. It happens for you. It's called living at cause for your life. Everything that is going on the outside, whether you can control it or not, you have the power to tell yourself, I'm at cause for how I'm going to react right now. When you live on the effect, it basically means that you're just saying like, oh, well, this happened to me and that's just the way it is. Oh no, my son was born with a congenital heart disease, and this happened to me. And I can't control it, and this is just sucky life and unfair. Hey, I get it. It's unfair, but you are at cause for how you're going to show up every day. How are you going to think about this every day? Are you letting this run your life? Are you letting this happen to you constantly every single day? Or are you saying, no, I am living at cause, and I can cause happiness to appear in my life. I can help myself. I can grow mentally stronger. I can grow physically and emotionally stronger. And I will. That is the truth. And you know what's so exciting? Every day you get to decide if you're going to run the day or let the day run you. You get to decide if you are going to be bigger than your circumstances and make a change. Because honestly, it's not fun to live in fear. It's not fun to live with guilt or anger. You know, I didn't even realize I was that angry about my situation with my son. It was one of those emotions that presented itself at the very beginning and that I immediately shoved away and was like, no, I'm not an angry person. I'm actually a super positive, happy person, and I don't let anger, run my life. And I was keeping like a virtual journal, and I was constantly trying to be positive the whole time. It's okay to let out your emotions. In fact, it's important to express how you're feeling to the people you love, or in a journal, or however you want to do it. It is a coping mechanism. So ask yourself, what emotion have you shoved away? It wants to be dealt with, and this is what happens is that emotion is constantly going to present itself in some way, shape, or form. And if you do not deal with it, it will keep showing up. And that's how we get stuck in cycles of like stress, anxiety, depression, all these mental illnesses that we have that keep showing up, whether sporadically or they're just stuck in our ways. It's an emotion, and it's asking for you to help it. And it's important for you to pinpoint what that is. So here's the truth, is that you're important. You have a divine purpose on this earth, and you are meant to fulfill it. You can choose whether or not to live at cause or live on the effect. And you can control and overcome these emotions. And whatever traumatic event happened to you, it does not define you. I just want to close this up with a few things that you can do daily to start finding yourself again and find that happiness after the heartache. I do gratitude journaling, so I have a journal dedicated to just writing out things that I'm constantly thankful for. And remember to show gratitude in all circumstances. Be grateful for your messy house. You got a roof over your head. Be grateful that there's food in your fridge. The simple things, because there are so many blessings. You gotta look for those. Another thing I learned is meditating. And if you've never meditated before, all you really need to do is lay down and be in your thoughts. It's a really good thing to try when you're about to go to sleep. Put on some, sleep music or whatever you need to get in the moment. And before you meditate, just ask yourself a question. Ask your unconscious mind what it needs to learn throughout the night. Whatever you put in your mind right before you go to bed is what's going to make a difference in you the next day. a really amazing thing to meditate on right now as you're listening to this is ask yourself what your divine purpose is and meditate on it. Just say like, hey, like what am I meant for? What am I meant to do? This is just going to give you a lot of clarity in life. It can help you get unstuck. It can help you find motivation and happiness and confidence. So thank you so much for listening. I'm excited to be continuing to make these because I want to answer your questions. I want to share with you what I'm constantly discovering because I'm obsessed with that self-improvement and I want to continue to get better. You better believe that I'm gonna have some amazing content coming out. So thank you so much for listening or watching or wherever you are. I am so blessed and grateful that you are a part of my life. Once again, I'm Marissa Johnson on Instagram at Meant2Thrive, and I am so excited to help you in the next episode.